everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. We already got a whole big crew in. Thank you, Stephanie and Jeff and Gina and Manuel and Eric and Richard and Ray and Alex. We love you guys here. We truly appreciate you. And if you've just now started watching, this is Sidebar. And it's real easy to find any social media platform that we're on. You just go to sidebartv.com. And that's where you tell friends and family to join in and watch. It's sidebartv.com because we're on YouTube and X and Facebook. And Nico, you just yelled at me a minute ago because he said I always talk about topics that we're not going to talk about. But one of the topics that I was going to ask y'all both about yesterday, and it's not going to be one of our big topics that we talk about. I will tell you about that. But apparently 4,000 new millionaires just from SpaceX employees on, them going and public and Elon Musk, the first in the world trillionaire. And
good for him.
What made me laugh is, it seem like the only thing that Elon Musk doesn't care about is money, but he keeps on making it and making it and making it. And it's just so amazing.
Well, I love to see that those employees were with him for like 20 plus years.
Yes.
This wasn't like, let me just jump on the train. This was like, this train looks like it's going nowhere, but I believe in this dude. I believe in what his mindset, what his culture is there.
I have goosebumps.
All different levels. I mean, this is life-changing, generational stuff. Good for them. I mean, this aren't just fly-by-night people. You want to find out who your friends are, what you believe, and who you think run for office and shit like that. I mean, you'll get real quick. You'll detox yourself. With your friends
and the guy
quick.
gets in front of them, and he's like, "I'm going to put people on Mars," and they're like, "Okay." I'm going to have a rocket that comes back to ground and lands. Okay.
And everyone, and what I love about it is that everyone told him he was going to fail. Everyone said he just believed in that, and they stayed on that ride with him. Good for them. God bless them. I hope they have the right mindset because money will screw you up.
Well, yeah.
If you don't, it's a tool, but it shouldn't be your idol. Hopefully they can they have the right mindset. But good for them.
It changes everything. I mean, the whole Overton window on wealth has changed overnight.
Yeah.
Reading a piece somewhere that said that the average medium household net worth is around $193,000. And so now the average medium American household is closer to Jeff Bezos than Jeff Bezos is to Elon Musk. In terms of net
love
wealth.
that. That is so
in the
crazy.
First, it's really the numbers are just staggering. You can't even conceive of it mathematically. I mean, 12 zeros in terms of net wealth now for Elon Musk, and that doesn't even include Tesla.
Oh, that doesn't include Tesla?
No, no, it doesn't include
SpaceX only.
I thought it
So
was
Nico, in the first day of trading, SpaceX it went up like 19.2%, trading around $161 a share. And so he owns like 6.4 billion shares of SpaceX. Now the math gets, you can understand the math. So it's 1.03 trillion for Elon Musk with SpaceX. But he already had like $343 billion in Tesla. So his net worth is around $1.37 trillion combined. And he always says, I think I've heard him say, I'm asset rich, but cash poor. I don't think you're cash poor, but I get your point. I mean,
it's not liquid.
Bill.
Yeah, it's not liquid. All of it's liquid. But he does. He does a lot of advanced financing and
But the numbers are
they're
just staggering. You can't. I mean, 1.3 times 10 to the 12th.
Did you hear that story about? Because that'll ruin his kids if he doesn't watch it. There's a story. There's a story about Robin Williams that he left his kids obviously millions of dollars, and I wish he wouldn't have taken his life because he just cheated us all out of this and his children, all that stuff. That's a whole different discussion. George and I have talked about in Bible studies before, but he put a condition that they couldn't touch their money until they were a certain age, and that they worked for a year for under X amount of dollars, like $25,000. Wow. I'm going to bastardize it, but you'll get the point. Yeah. Someone can look it up. Yep. And because he wanted them to teach them to struggle. They had to, for a year or for some period of time, had to work at this level of a job and do this, and then they got certain money. It had to be a certain age. I mean, it was really, and the kids really appreciated it, and it was good. It was good. So, look, money's a tool. It shouldn't be your idol. The scriptures say the love of money is the root of all evil, not money, the love of money. So.
It's funny. A friend of mine is from a very wealthy family, and he couldn't have his money until he was 35. And let me tell you, he struggled. He struggled.
Up to 35 or after 35?
No, he got it at 35. But before
how did he do with it? How did he do with it after?
Oh, he's fine. He's just one of those people like Elon Musk that continued. even at age 20, to come up with new ideas, to make money, to open up, I think I'm going to open up a coffee shop. I think I'm going to do this, because he would continually try. It wasn't like he just waited till he was 35.
Yeah.
So now everything is all good in his world.
Your thoughts on people that their first inclination is to hate billionaires?
First inclination is to hate billionaires. I think that's
Jealousy?
short-sighted. No, I look. Obviously, they have this idea of what billionaires are, and I get it. People with money. There's this air to a lot of them, not all of them. There's a lot of humble people too with money. So it just depends how you look at it. Money is a tool. It's not. It shouldn't be your identity. Doesn't make you classy. I've met a lot of people with quote unquote money that
Jeff Bezos.
I wouldn't piss on if they were on fire. They're just terrible people.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are rich in how they're received by their family. I mean, because you give all this money, and I've seen it. I've dealt with it in my profession and personal life, where someone has all the money in the world, but people can't stand that person. Wow, what is that? What legacy is that? I mean, you're really poor. And Scripture talks about this. And so, yeah, I mean, if their first inclination is that they don't like people that are billionaires, I mean, there's something deeper that person needs to look at. I mean, there's billionaires that suck, but shit, there's people that don't have money that suck too. I mean,
You're
people
so
that suck
right.
all the way around.
Well,
Sucking doesn't care how much money you have.
No.
Yeah, unless you're doing it for money. But I mean,
if you have more money,
Jeff
and then they
Bezos'
get
wife.
arrested. And then they get arrested.
you could argue that the more money you have, the more efficient you become at sucking, and that's a problem, because you can do more damage with it probably.
That's true.
But yeah, you're right. It's you can suck and not have a penny.
And then if you're liberal, I guess you want them to give it all away because you don't deserve that much.
Until you have money yourself.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden your ideology changes.
Well, it's very easy to be generous with somebody else's money,
Of course.
or a thief. If you're talking about.
Let's talk about stuff that happened during the week. I'm going to do those topics that nobody's going to talk about except for us later when we're out and about. Game 5 tonight, the Spurs handing it away, and Wemby being the new Kaepernick. That is so bad.
What did he do?
He has an issue with the national anthem. He's staying in the locker room these days. During
really?
that. Mhm.
I thought he just crossed his arms on that
That was
first
the
one.
first game. Now they told him to stay out of the
Why?
limelight.
Why don't you just go and unfold your arms and don't be an asshole?
That's a good question.
idiot.
I know.
What about the fact that he's from France?
Who gives a shit?
cares?
You don't think he
Who's
knows by
giving him his
You
money?
don't think he knows by now?
Fucking turns my stomach, man.
I mean, you don't think
Sick.
Turns
he
my
knows by
stomach.
now? Show respect for the country.
Exactly.
Respect. Have your criticism. Criticize it all you want.
Exactly.
But you're not in France for a
Exactly.
reason.
Exactly.
France isn't doing it right.
Exactly
France
right.
is being overrun by a bunch of immigrants. You got a
Exactly
stupid
right.
ass president.
Thank
I
you.
mean, miserable. People aren't safe there. I mean, we can criticize the shit out of France, and there's some reason why you're here instead of France.
Yeah.
At least just stand there like this, or behind your back, or like this, and just show respect for the country that made you a millionaire.
Sickening.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to have that Tourette's situation.
Okay.
Go ahead. No,
Okay, let's
get back on
continue to
track.
talk about sports.
Precisely well said.
Yeah, U.S. dominated their World Cup opener, and I'm trying to see
Against
if you-
Paraguay.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, George, if you like this at the very end, this pairing, Portugal and the Netherlands. Everybody's loving both of those teams, so hopefully we'll get to see that.
Yep. Looking
So-
forward to watching Ronaldo.
Everybody's.
Where's he? Who's he
I
play
mean,
for?
I'm always watching Ronaldo.
Which place? Portugal?
Portuguese.
Oh, is he really?
Okay,
Something good comes out of Portugal? What?
I don't know anything that comes
right-
out of Portugal.
right-
he thought it
Write
was
it down.
just 10 fish. That's it. That's
was
all.
just-
That's
it
all
was-
that comes out.
Well, they thought
thought
that
it
way
was-
about Galilee too, and
Yeah. Is he Portuguese?
Ronaldo, yeah,
No. Shit.
very much so.
Okay.
We love the Portuguese. We love the
We love 'em.
Portuguese.
we love the Portuguese.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Who loves the U.S.-Iran peace deal? Wait, do I hear
Don't get me
crickets?
started, man.
Okay.
All right, we'll
How
get
is
there.
that going to affect the midterms? That's really something that we're going to talk about. Also, George, I'm so embarrassed. I've been so out of touch. I didn't even know what was going on in Ireland, but I cannot
real. It's real.
believe.
It's real.
Unbelievable. And then, of course, something that you've been talking about, Nico, and I've been watching your lives. But let me introduce, because last week I didn't even introduce to anybody that is just now joining us. You are going to be hearing the former Bexar County DA, Nico LaHood, trial lawyer, managing partner of LaHood Norton Goss Law Group, and Georgia Rougeau, scholar, former chemist, pharmaceutical researcher and director, and home builder.
Nah,
I added one more thing, but this whole Karmelo Anthony case,
Mm-hmm.
and I was The only thing that I was shocked about that it only took 2.5 hours for a jury, and I'm always afraid when something comes back so quickly, especially when it's murder. But okay, he admitted he murdered somebody, but now there is a huge violence. There's also, definitely the appeal that this was not fair. How do we come to that conclusion?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. Jason and I did a Facebook Live yesterday and an Instagram Live. I don't know where the hell we were on, but we answered a lot of questions because there's a lot of misinformation and just false information out there about the case from how the defense happened, what happens to rules of evidence, race versus ethnicity, Batson challenges because there was no jurors that happened to be black on there. And so we answered all those questions and addressed all of them. And then the defense's strategy, what they did, I was trying to give very respectful but constructive criticism and it's always weird because it wasn't live streamed. I think it should have been. The judge has full discretion on whether to live stream a case or not. We've been in, as you know, we handled high profile cases and we've been into very high profile cases that I'm glad were live streamed because now if you're going to criticize, you better watch first. You can always tell the people that we're criticizing, and then someone will comment, you obviously didn't watch the trial because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And so now, because we're left to fill in the blanks, reporters do not report accurately. I don't give a shit. And it happened in our cases also. I had to call them one time, especially on the Uvalde one, and chew them out. I chewed them all out here locally. I said, you're going to get someone hurt because you're reporting bullshit information. It's not accurate. Don't just report the direct examination. Report the cross because the cross cleared everything up. Because they want the clicks and the likes and all the other bullshit. So I really don't trust the reporting. I can only make a determination. We can get transcripts. I know George loves transcripts, but we should have been live streamed. But the judge made his decision, and he's got a lot of discretion on that, unless it comes to child sex cases.
What do you think his caution is to live stream? Some cautions you may have.
If it's a sex case with a child, I mean, he was saying that some of the witnesses, I have no idea. He said he didn't want to make it some type of political, ethnic, but it happened anyway. It was going to happen no matter what. Live streaming it would have put a lot of these critics to sleep. Or at least you would have seen what had happened yourself, and you could make your own determination based off what you saw and heard, not based off what someone else told you. Mm-hmm. But I can dissect any one of that part you want to do if you want to about that. But I have criticisms, constructive, about the defense, about self-defense, defense of third person, use of deadly force, whether manslaughter was appropriate or not, and whether this was a murder or not, or how the defense should have handled the case. In my humble opinion, I mean, they did what they did. And
can you just, for my sake, tell us the difference between a murder charge and manslaughter?
Yeah, manslaughter, the standard is reckless. And so are you aware of it? And are you aware of and disregard a substantial and unjustifiable risk of something happening? If I were to say, hey, look at me try to throw this knife at Araujo and I'm barely going to miss him. So was I aware of and disregarded a substantial and unjust? Why would I throw a knife at Araujo of George and hopefully barely miss him? Well, I'm taking the risk of hitting George. And so I did it. So did I intend to hit George? Well, based off what I told you, no, unless I'm a liar. But there was a substantial and unjustifiable risk. There was no need to do that. Intox manslaughter, when you drink and drive and someone gets killed and there's an accident, that's reckless. So but there was no evidence of that. They had to show that there was some evidence of manslaughter. You could have gotten that through body cameras if you just said, look, I didn't mean to stab him. I was cleaning my shoes earlier with that knife because there was nothing illegal about that knife. People made a big deal about that knife, and they made a big deal about that damn tent. That tent, to me, was irrelevant legally. Factually, it was irrelevant legally. They don't own that tent on public property. Was not your car and was not your house. So legally, I'm going to give you and I said this in the live stream yesterday, and I'm saying it on a radio show on Jack Riccardi last week. Legally, if Karmelo wouldn't have stabbed Metcalf should have been charged with something, some form of assault. Either because a Class C assault is an unwanted touch. The example is you're at a soccer game with your kid. And then say, hey, F you, don't talk to my kid. You don't talk to my kid. And a shoulder bump, a chest bump. Or you don't ever talk to my kid like that. Hey, don't touch me. That's an unwanted touch. That's a Class C misdemeanor, only punishable up to $500 fine, no jail time. You can't be arrested for it. It's like a traffic ticket. Now, an unwanted touch that causes pain. If I were to do, hey, don't talk to my kid, and then I forearm you, but you don't fall back. Oh, that hurt, man. Don't touch me. And I felt that's technically a Class A misdemeanor assault. You don't have to have a black eye or a busted lip or a broken tooth. That's a Class A misdemeanor assault because there was no SBI, serious bodily injury or death. So technically, Metcalf, the deceased, unfortunately, he didn't have the legal authority. He should have gone to get a teacher or a cop. That's what he should have done. But you know, the tent culture and all this other stuff, and then he's a bunch of young boys, and I would have made an issue if I was going to defend that case of this Metcalf being 50 pounds heavier. There was multiple potential quote unquote attackers. The reasonable belief of apparent danger, and was it imminent? Reasonable, apparent, not actual. And was it but then you would have to have some evidence of that. Either he would have to testify, or he would have had to give some statements after. I didn't see all the evidence. I just heard what some of the evidence was.
But when I heard self-defense, I was like, wait a second. What do you mean self-defense?
Okay, well, can we go back to the example?
Yes.
So without the knife, take the knife out of the equation. So Metcalf illegally touches Karmelo. Can Karmelo do something?
Yeah, but with a knife? That's
Hold
what
on, now you're talking about you're talking about proportionality.
Yes.
That's where the problem was. Yeah,
Yes.
proportionality. So Metcalf could have shoved him back or even punched him. Now let's change the scenario. 50-pound dude grabs you, however hard it is, whatever he perceived was apparent or actual danger. Then he punches back, hits Metcalf perfectly. He falls, hits his head on a curb, and then he's in a coma, brain bleed, and then dies. That's a very much different, that's a stronger case, because his proportional force he used, unforeseeable that he was going to fall, this big kid fall, hit his head on a curb, and then brain bleed. That wasn't his intent. That's a different case. And I think you walk him. Fairly easily, not easily, but you know, anytime you have a death, it's never easy. But,
yes.
Well, I'm just saying. So that's a different case. So Metcalf, in my humble opinion, did not have the legal authority to put his hands on Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony did not use proportional force to defend himself.
So does this I'm wondering where the jury went in the direction of murder versus manslaughter, because all of the witnesses seem to say that Karmelo Anthony had his hand in a bag.
Yeah.
And he said something to the effect of, touch me and see what happens. So he had intended, obviously, to do this in the event, because the guy said, well, I'm not going to fight you. But
Who said I'm not going to fight you?
One of the witnesses said that he said, I'm not going to fight.
That's the witness
I'm not
said?
going to fight.
Okay.
And so, but I don't know how you would even describe, whether it was a touch or a minor shove. I heard somebody say, whatever it is you're saying, the law says that that's illegal because it was an unwanted contact.
Yeah.
So then he puts his hand in the bag and says, touch me, see what happens. And then he touched him, and then he stabbed him through the heart with the knife. So does the jury just see that? Like, okay, he said he's not going to fight you.
But then he touches you. So what?
But then he touches you. Just trying to understand how a juror might have seen these events. That this guy had intended to do some brutal harm to this dude, regardless of what he was going to do. Because he just said, I'm not going to fight you. And there were multiple people telling this guy to leave the tent. I get they didn't have the legal authority to tell him to leave.
Well, they could tell him to leave, but to touch him is another story, yes.
Did they have the legal authority? They had the legal authority to tell him to leave. That's a First Amendment issue. They didn't have the legal authority to make him leave.
Well, can I give you an example? Let's say that your child is at school and sits at a table at the cafeteria. And then someone comes up to your kid and says, hey, this is where we sit. Get out of this chair. We sit here every day.
Yep.
Well, I'm here today. I want to sit here. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. We sit here every day. Do they have the legal authority to touch your kid?
Right. So they don't have the legal authority to
answer the question.
No,
they don't.
No.
They don't have the legal authority to make him leave either.
Well, by physically they can't. That's the only way they can.
Right.
Make
I was
him
going just one step back before that. Whether they touch him or not, they don't even have the legal authority to make him leave. They have legal authority.
Well, how would you make him leave? How would you make him leave? By touching him. There's no other way to make him leave. I mean, you don't have a title to that chair or to that tent or to that land under the tent. The only way you make someone leave is you grab them. Now, if you go get a police officer and say, look, this is our tent. Hey, Mr. Anthony, get out of here. Come on, let's go. I'm telling you now. Now I'm going to give you a trespass warning because I have the authority over this property. And now this land, I have authority over it. I have possessory rights over this land as a security or law enforcement. Now I'm telling you to leave. Now you're not leaving. Now I'm going to detain you. That's different. Okay. Totally different progression.
But you can harass the shit out of the person.
Who's
I'm just saying... Is there a standard before you actually touch the individual that is illegal? So in other words, you can't harass the shit out of somebody.
Well, sure.
What do you
mean harass the shit out of? What
I don't know. What if everybody combines into one giant ruckus to harass the shit out of this guy to make him leave?
Well,
could he make it legal?
Define harass.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Is there a scenario?
I'm asking a word. I know, but I need a definition of your definition of harass. Could they say leave? Yeah, they can do that. They can yell and get around him and surround him. Now surrounding him, does that make him feel like he's going to be
jumped?
That's what I'm asking. So that's a whole different ballgame. So there's something called provoking the difficulty. That's what you're talking about.
That's what I was getting at.
So you're talking about provoking, like, hey, touch me, see what happens. Well, I'm just being defense lawyer here,
Right.
so just
I
take it easy.
understand.
I'm not saying it happened. I would have. So you can make the argument that like I didn't want him to touch me. I'm trying to keep him away from me. Like, hey, don't touch
Sure.
me. Get away from me. Or I'm going to defend myself. And he felt threatened by multiple attackers, 50-pound guys heavier than you. You know, people can get bludgeoned and beaten to death. I mean, so could it cause not just death but serious bodily injury? And that's a different legal standard. Doesn't mean you have to be on life support. And so, you know, so they're argued. The government argued provoking the difficulty.
Yeah.
That you instigated it, and then just so you
that's
could
what I'm
stab
getting
it.
at.
Yeah.
So
it's called provoking the
and I
difficulty.
don't. I mean, is it in your opinion? Did the jury consider that and give it more weight than perhaps they should have? If a good defense attorney might have skewed away from that standard. Because then it becomes about perception. And I think they created the perception that this guy instigated, he knew he wasn't supposed to be there. Or even if he didn't know, because you can accidentally walk into a tent. But now you've got a bunch of people saying, dude, you're not supposed to be here. Get out of here. Go to your own tent or whatever. This is our tent. And that just as a matter of basic decency and respect, where you're not trying to create problems, you exit. In my view, do you think the prosecution made a compelling case just on that this guy was looking for trouble, and then even when he was, well, I guess accosted or maybe just short of being accosted, that he put his hand in a bag with the intent to do harm to somebody?
Yeah, well, obviously they made a good case because they got a conviction on murder in 35 years when it should have been 20, in my opinion. If you really think about his past and his lack of criminal history. Look, the defense did a very subpar job on the punishment phase also, because there's guilt, innocence, it's a bifurcated trial, and then there's a separate trial on punishment. We can talk about that in a second. So you have to look at how did he get there? So he got there, he's at a track race, a track meet, he's an athlete, and then he knew someone in that tent. That's what's being reported, that he knew someone. He didn't just walk in there like, hey, F you guys, make me leave. He saw someone, either a girlfriend's or somebody's friend's friend was there, a guy named Eddie or something. Someone correct me on the comments. That's why he should.
I saw that too, but I wasn't.
So he knew somebody. So he goes in there. Yeah. So there's mutual person there, like he's talking. Then they say leave. I mean, you know, the whole, you know, locker room. It's not a locker room. It's a tent. It's not the same.
I did see that, but I didn't see it corroborated. Yeah. It left me kind of annoyed because I was trying to find out. That changes things.
It does, because he didn't. So like the Matt Walsh is out there. I saw someone sent me a video on Matt Walsh, and it irritates him. He's walking around this track meet looking to kill somebody with a 3.5-inch knife that's legal. Okay, yes, it's not allowed on the school property, but it's legal. It's a 3.5-inch knife. It's under 5.5 inches. Anybody?
Well, back up a moment. If it's not supposed to be on, if it's not supposed to be on school property, then it's illegal for practical purposes, right? You can't.
Not penal code. It's not illegal to have. It's not like having a gun is not illegal, right? If you're not a felon or a gang member.
But it's illegal to have there.
Well, right, but that's statutorily protected on schools. I'm just saying this knife is not illegal per se. Okay. So if he came from HEB and then happened to stop at the knife is legal in HEB, it's legal in the parking lot, it's not allowed on the school unless there's a specific statute that says.
I want to park there because people, I guarantee you, are wondering about this, because this goes not just knives, but guns or any other, any potential weapon.
Guns are statutorily not allowed on school.
Okay.
Statutorily.
But knives are not in the same category?
Yeah, knives are not in the same category as guns.
So you can have a knife in school?
Well, hold on. No, not as a student, not inside the school. So that's what I'm saying. So all I'm saying is, but the knife itself, people said, the knife was illegal. The knife was not illegal. It's not illegal to have a 3.5.
Most people, I think, can apprehend the fact that butter knives aren't illegal per se.
Right.
But you can kill somebody with a butter knife, and why do you have a knife in school?
Kill someone with a pencil, but you can kill someone with a pen.
With a shank, as you always say.
Yeah, you can make anything out of it.
With the toothbrush.
All I'm saying is how I would have made a bigger deal out of how he got there. He didn't just walk in there like Billy Badass and tell everybody to piss off and make me leave. Allegedly, there was a guy named Eddie that they knew each other, so they started talking. It was raining, so they're in the tent talking. And then, I don't know, I didn't.
Well, I think maybe you would have made a more compelling argument than this defense, because I think the defense brought that up as well. But I don't think it was, because the problem is when he does this and he leans into a bag, okay, and so he knows what's in the bag. And so his reaction involves stabbing somebody. It doesn't even involve a punch. It doesn't involve anything. I mean, that's where he goes. And so it seems like he came
That's not illegal. That's not illegal, though. That motion, because to change the scenario, I really want to be specific about this. So let's say he's out in a parking lot somewhere, and then multiple guys bigger than him, 50 pounds or more, are saying, get out of here, and starting to feel like threatening him. He puts his hand in a bag. You'd want your kid to put the hand in the bag, and if you had a good knife in there, because multiple attackers. Now, in that scenario, was he trying to provoke the difficulty versus try to defend himself?
Yeah.
That's where
I
you
think
split
that's
hairs.
the rub, because he goes into a tent.
Yeah.
So let's say it was totally innocent circumstances under which he entered that
Eddie's
tent. But then he's told by more than one person, dude, you're not supposed to get out of here.
Yeah.
And he stays anyway. And then Metcalf and his brother, I guess, get close to him.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, why not just say, okay, dude, I'm out of here? Why do that? Why go into a tent? You're told multiple times, you don't leave, then you stick your hand into a bag. The perception that was created is that this guy came looking for trouble. And if he didn't come looking for trouble, he certainly invited it within short due course.
I don't think there's any evidence of that. There's no evidence.
Really?
Of that. Yeah, and not that I saw. What evidence of that is there?
Well,
what evidence?
I think that...
If you have a guy named Eddie that he knew and they started talking, I mean, then he went there to talk to,
but I mean, unless he's really close with Eddie, it's like, I mean...
you don't have to be really close to Eddie. You just know Eddie. Hey,
I don't
what's
know.
going on?
I don't know that knowing somebody in the tent. I don't know that prevails against all of these people saying get out of there. And then Metcalf comes to you.
But you conflated two issues. You said he went in there looking for trouble. All I said was if he knew Eddie. Hold on, and then everybody said leave. That's a different ballgame.
Hold on,
you have to compartmentalize.
Fine, but I
things.
didn't say he went in there looking for trouble. I'm saying from a jury's perspective, there's two issues. There's two issues that lead one reasonably to conclude that he went in there looking for trouble, and that is that he goes into a tent. He's told within short order he's not supposed to be there by multiple people. And then Metcalf. I mean, I'm just saying the average person who's not looking for trouble.
No, but George,
says,
listen to what you said.
No, hold on.
Once he gets in there, if he's talking and then told to leave, now that's a different ballgame. He didn't go in there looking for trouble.
Brother, I'm with you. I'm saying that he walks in.
Okay.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just I'm trying to get into the jury's head here to see where this went south. And from what I was seeing, I was just trying to leaf through the evidence. From what I'm seeing, there are two issues, and I think you've harped on them, and I like it because I think that's where it went south. Number one, he walks into this tent. Yeah, okay, let's say he knows Eddie. Okay. So there's very little data of the exchange that he had with Eddie. Yep. It wasn't even like central to the whole thing. It was like an artifact. So he goes in, and within short order, he's told to leave by multiple people. So he knows that he's not supposed to be there. Legally, I get it. Legally, he can be there. I mean, scripturally, for instance, lots of things are permissible, but not everything is beneficial, right? So he knows he's not supposed to be there. So at that point, the average person, one would think, would stand up and go somewhere else. But he stays. He stays. Then somebody comes to him and says, "Dude, you need to get out of here. You're not supposed to be here." And then he puts his hand into his bag, and then the guy says, "Touch me and see what happens." And he says, "I don't want to fight you." And then he ended up, touching him. And then he ended up touching him. Fair enough. Yeah. In which case he stood up and stabbed him through the heart. Right. So you put those things together, and it seems like this is not a reasonable thing to do. How does someone not conclude that that's going to create serious trouble?
Can I change the scenario a little bit?
So it's like that's where the provocative thing.
Here's the problem, and this is why I like to slow down. Because we didn't see this thing, and I didn't read transcripts, and I didn't have time to listen to some reporter's rendition of what happened in court because I've seen it's happened to me, so I was very hands off.
There was some video, but you're right, it wasn't. We don't see the video that we saw with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Can I change? Yes, that was very. We can all make. I can make my assessment by looking at it myself, not some schmuck reporter. Yeah. And so let's say he goes there. Hey, Karmelo. Hey, Eddie, what's going on? He goes in there talking, bullshitting. I mean, he's there to compete. I mean, he's with another school. His school didn't have a tent for whatever reason. But everybody else had a tent. So he's, hey, come on in. So they're talking, hey, man, you don't need to be here. Okay, slow down, man. I'll get out of here. No, get out of here now. I'll get out of here in a second. Just hang tight. I'm just talking. I'm leaving. Okay, hold on. Hey, I'm going to make you leave. Hey, touch me and see what happens. And then boom. Now that changes the scenario, right? Because timing matters. Now him, and I'm not saying you meant to do this, him lounging around and sitting there going, hey, make me see what happens, man. Yeah. See what happens. That's a whole different ballgame. Hey, leave. I'm not leaving. I'll leave when I want to leave. These are two separate scenarios, and I don't know which one's real.
No, that's actually.
I mean, think about my scenario. Boom, boom,
the conversations that we saw, and it was corroborated by multiple accounts, is that he was actually having small talk
with Eddie.
I think it was Eddie, or even another person. Cool. Small talk about the rain or about the weather or whatever.
So he's not looking to stab someone like Matt Walsh said, right? If he's having small talk, unless he's like some scheming Lex Luthor guy, right?
Exactly. So I guess the reason why I'm singularly interested in one thing, and since you've been with juries, that's why I'm asking you specifically here on where you think this went south for the jury. I'm curious about it.
It doesn't go south for a jury. They go where the evidence leads them. I hope. What controverting evidence did we?
As it pertains to Karmelo Anthony, I'm sorry, I should have said that. Yeah. Goes south in terms as it pertains to Karmelo, the outcome for Anthony.
Several witnesses said
tell me.
that Karmelo was the antagonist.
Okay.
Several of them said that.
Yeah, several people from
Witnesses.
from Metcalf's side. So you have a bias there. I mean, I'm just playing defense attorney. I'm not saying, look, this boy shouldn't have passed away. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
Do I think I think you had a stronger argument for manslaughter? I would have made the same self-defense argument. I would have made it. I think I would have done it. We would have done it differently. But I think a win, you have to define what a win. A win would have been 20 years. To me. I mean, you're facing life. He's not going to get life. No jury's going to give a young boy that's never had been in trouble before life. You're just not. I know that's a life for a life. I get it. I mean, I'm not speaking from ignorance. People know my brother was murdered, so I get it. I'm not speaking like from Kumbaya land. I'm just being honest with you. From juries that I know and I've seen for over 25 years, they're not going to give a 17-year-old boy at the time with no criminal history life. They're just not. On this scenario, he wasn't doing an armed robbery. And so you have to identify what a win is. I think manslaughter would have been a win. 20 years would have been a win. 35 to 40 years is an offer that you regularly make on murder. So I don't know what the offer was pre-trial, whether it was 40 years, 50 years, or they said no offer. Maybe they would have said that. We just have to try this case. I have no idea. I just think the defense left a lot on the table to mitigate things, or at least to bring light to things. And I'm speaking from ignorance a little bit because I didn't see this thing. I wish it was on video because I would have watched it or seen it after the fact, and I could have given you a very accurate assessment. I'm just people reporting this and that, and I just don't trust reporters, man.
I want to get back. Yeah, no kidding. But I want to get back to what you said early on because I don't know that that's corroborated.
What is
the notion that he was there to compete? He was there from a different school. I'm trying to remember Centennial High School, but most of the reports I see said that he was not there to compete. He was not a participant in the track events.
Was his school there to compete?
I have no idea, but he was not there to compete.
This is the problem.
Yeah, so I that's interesting that you said that because I thought it was the opposite of that. Salo, I'd like to get corroboration on that. I don't know because we need to move on here, but I'd love to get confirmation on that because that's an important aspect of it. It's like why? Because it speaks to sorry, Karen. Why are you there? It's just like, why are you there? What are you trying to achieve? Are you there to hang out? Seriously, you're just there to hang out with Eddie?
Self-defense and use of force cases, and we can move on unless somebody has questions, are very fact-specific.
Yeah.
It's in the minutia, the details, all these little things. Just look at the scenario that I told you. It changed everything. Your whole demeanor changed of walking by. Hey, Eddie, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, you guys get out of here. Slow. Okay, I'll leave. Hold on. Hey, get out of here. Slow. Hey, guys, I'll leave when I'm going to leave. There's a little pride involved. Young people, a lot of testosterone. I'm leaving. Okay.
Yep.
Well, versus I ain't leaving. I ain't going to do shit. What are you going to do about it? Versus, hey, I'll make you leave if you don't leave. You touch me, see what happens. If you don't leave, I'll make you leave. You touch me, see what happens. Changes everything. I mean, at least from an intent standpoint. Now, he intended to stab him. I mean, he went through his sternum. I mean, that's a hard jab. I mean, he's just, he's a strong young kid, and it's a knife. It's a 3.5-inch blade. It's just senseless. All this bullshit irritates me because I see this every day, literally, and it's senseless.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think,
just
Nico, part of the challenge.
Carmelo's parents?
The reason I like to go and read the actual transcript is because we're at a point where we just can't rely on good, solid journalism anymore. People bring their narratives. Yeah. I saw a statement on X, and I don't know that it's been attributed to anybody. I think it's one of those statements that just sort of builds over time, but it said something to the effect of, journalism is about covering important stories with a pillow until they stop moving. Because journalism, they don't describe things anymore. There's a narrative, and everything's been sort of filtered through racial politics here. That's what's been really frustrating here, because it can't be like that. Certain stories are just so important because there are lives on the other end. Unfortunately, man, it took me forever to actually get through the facts of this case because it's like we're not there. That's why I'm asking you because I know you live and breathe in a courtroom. Yeah. I was just fascinated because I thought for sure because you had said if you had to guess, you thought it might go down the road of manslaughter.
That's what I think.
A good defense attorney should have secured that.
But look, I mean, during punishment, they only present the mom. Jurors don't really care about moms. I mean, I'm not being mean. I'm just being. Well, of course, what the hell you could think? I love my kid. Got it. They love their kid too. I mean, and he's not here, and yours is.
Here, yeah.
So I mean, I can make the argument both ways. Yeah. I mean, if you have a young man that has never been in trouble, not in gang, good grades, you should have 15 witnesses. You should have an expert, a psychological expert about maybe what about his childhood? What about his mentality? Why did he feel defensive? You get deep into the minutia that way about psychology and this and that. You bring experts in to talk about mitigation experts. You do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just present the mom. That's crazy. Now, what I think we talked about yesterday, Jason and I on the live stream, they may have a legitimate appeal on ineffective assistance. I don't know. I mean,
You think so?
yeah. I mean, yes.
I went back over appellate history on that, and appellate courts are generally
whether it's harmless
hands
error or
off
not,
on, but it's a jury trial. So,
but no, on ineffective assistance, it's a different ballgame. You have an ineffective counsel that didn't do stuff that they should have done, or the other lawyers in their same situation, similar circumstance would have done.
you don't think that's a high hurdle to leap over on
Well,
this?
sure, it's a high hurdle. Less than 1% of cases get overturned. I'm just telling you, they get overturned for ineffective.
Okay.
It's a constitutional right you have. I mean,
Can an appeal be
Interesting.
brought up on the makeup of the jury? How
sure.
everybody
A
gets.
Batson, they did a Batson challenge. It's a case called Batson, Kentucky, or it's called a Batson challenge, where you're saying that the government struck a juror only for ethnicity. Well, they say race, but ethnicity, and they have to give a race neutral. Now, Kavanaugh just gave an opinion a few weeks ago from the Supreme Court that says you can take they really focused on this race. Race purpose for striking jurors, and now you can't just give some race neutral reason. You have to you can dig a little bit further. So you have a whole hearing on it. Yeah. It's a thing. I mean, and the Supreme Court has made a big deal about it. I don't look at that stuff. We look at mindset. When we do our jury selections, I care about mindset. I care about ideology, and we have a way to ask questions through scaled questions, and we have a scoring system that when someone says, "Hey, what's their score?" No one says like, oh, but they're a black person, they're a Mexican. What's their score? I don't give a shit. I want to know what their score is, because their score based off our questions will tell me everything about those people. That's for me. Now, as a Christian, I can't stand looking at ethnicity. I mean, that's a descriptive to me. I wish that we would not just obsessed with ethnicity. I mean, there's only one race, but a lot of ethnicities. It just drives me batshit crazy. But that's the world we live in, and it
is just absolutely maddening. I mean, how do you not make it a thing? I mean, it's just so cultural politics is just infused with this shit. I mean, golly, man.
But it wasn't a white jury. People got to understand.
I know.
It wasn't a white jury. It wasn't a bunch of Europeans on there, or Irish, or Germans, or whatever the hell, Norwegians. I mean, there were people of color. There were brown folks like me.
There were minorities.
There were minorities.
Minorities,
There weren't people that were black. But from what I read, once again, I don't know. I mean, that the Batson challenge was raised, and they gave race neutral reasons, meaning one black person said, "I can't convict another brother. You're going to get struck every day of the week, whether you're black, Mexican, brown, purple, whatever, Asian." Other people were teachers, and that was the reason for. I wouldn't want teachers on this jury either. Yeah, students. I wouldn't want teachers on this jury, and so if you struck every teacher, you can. That's a race neutral reason to strike a juror. So, from what I read, I don't know what the record shows.
Everybody brings bias. Everybody's got bias with something. Yeah. But the question is, are those biases strong enough to sway this case in a particular direction?
Yeah. Have you determined your mindset? Yeah.
All right,
go on. Where do you want to go next, Karen?
We've got to talk about the midterms. We've got to talk about the midterms.
What do you want to talk about? And
Republicans
are going to lose. Next, what's the next topic?
Yeah, I'd like to make an argument for the opposite.
Okay. We'll hear it.
I would,
brother. I hope you're right. I mean, I'll listen. I'll take notes.
We got to separate the fact that Republicans are, how do you say this, fucking things up. We got to separate that. I mean, and Trump on the Iran war, please, with the ceasefire, enough already. I mean, the whiplash is just nauseating. There's that. And then there's the math. And then the fact is that Democrats are about as popular as anal warts right now. And so, yeah, Trump's approval rating's low, but Democrats are worse. So if we're going to look about performance in the midterms, we got to look at that. We got to deal with that. And then the fact that Republicans, what do you say? Squandering grace, squandering opportunities, God-given opportunities to really sort of set the ship aright. And man, we're just fumbling. The United States Senate, golly, man, it's every week I gotta just restrain myself.
I know,
it's just maddening. And then combined with what Trump's doing with Iran, I honestly don't know what the fuck we're doing.
You saying though that Trump's approval ratings are low, but everybody hates the Democrats. But that always in my mind makes me think, okay, then people aren't going to vote, and that always goes in favor of the Democrats. I mean, it just seems that way.
I mean, look, I hope George is right. I really, really do. And but I'm just a realist. You know me. I'm a pragmatic. Mr. George is too, but he looks at things a little bit differently. I mean, inflation is over 4%. Energy costs are high. Then Trump says something as stupid as, "I love inflation." Then he promises that inflation is going to drop like a rock. That's not. I mean, Trump's smarter than that. I mean, inflation doesn't work that way. I'm not an inflation master. I'm just telling you, gas prices, food prices, consumer goods.
Tell me about
and then he's just betting on this Iran agreement. and he's obsessed with making an agreement with these animals. And to George's point about the whiplash, I mean, it's like enough already. I mean, I don't know who didn't. I know it made George laugh the other day. I was like, is there a second book to the Heart of the Deal or whatever? Because Trump didn't read it.
Right.
Because they've read this deal. Who thinks that Iran's going to keep whatever agreement they come up with?
Never.
I mean,
they'll sign anything.
I got oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you if you think that's going to happen. Anybody knows that. And they're going to wait a month before the election, and they're going to screw it up, and it's going to just tank Trump, and they're going to do it on purpose just to give him the middle finger. And they're going to wait him out because they're going to know he's going to lose the midterms, so he's going to be worried about getting impeached. And then he's like, 2 more years. He couldn't take care of us this time. He ain't going to do shit to us because they still control the Strait of Hormuz. No matter how much tough talk Trump makes, we're stuck. I mean, and so I don't know who convinced Trump to do it this way. I still am all in for what he did to Iran. I think that regime is evil. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I think people are missing the boat. They don't understand that ideology, and they're just plain wrong. And you don't have to worry about my word. We can look at the evidence of that ideology and what they've done and the evil they've done over decades and decades and decades, and what's happening in Europe and here and everywhere else. So I'm all in. Who wants them with a nuclear weapon? They don't have that mutual destruction theory. They don't believe in it. North Korea has that mutual destruction. They have a nuke, which they shouldn't have had a nuke, and that was a screw up. And now look at the bullies that they are because Clinton screwed that shit up. And so North Korea has a nuke. But even though he's got a shitty haircut and he's way over, he's all jacked up, but he knows that if I use my nuke, they're gonna nuke me too. And then he ain't gonna, because he understands mutual destruction. These people, this ideology think they're ushering in Armageddon. They're supposed to, from an eschatology standpoint, that they're supposed to be part of end times, and they're going to usher in their version of the Messiah. For us, it's the Antichrist, and so it's a religion. I mean, it's truly cultish. They think they're supposed to be part of. George, correct me if I'm wrong.
100%.
Okay, so this is a different mindset. 100%. You can't. So all these people that want to equate Islam and them with Israel and all this other crazy bullshit, you're just wrong. And it's a suicidal mission thinking that you want them to even be anywhere near nuclear weapons. So I'm all for that. I really was. But whoever gave them the exit strategy or the ceasefire bullshit, or thinking that this regime that you wanted to replace, but you really didn't want to, but you said to people that you don't feel like they're supported and they're all over the place. I mean, this has just been fumbled. I mean, in my opinion. I mean, George, someone can disagree with me.
It has. I don't know how you can argue that. There was such great momentum, and we've lost momentum over the last 60 days. That's what's frustrated me. Because at the end of the day, I've always said I've never see a path where this doesn't lead to the extraction of the Iranian regime.
Yeah.
They have to be extracted. Yep. They have to be assassinated. They have to be wiped out. And Americans, there's a sense in America that people know that that's the only way this gets solved. And yet, for the president of the United States, who knows better than anybody, or should know better than anybody, I mean, look, I know you could argue there's information he has, because it's true that we do not have. Yep. But what is objectively true, long preceding Trump, is the fact that we're dealing with psychos. We're dealing with a religious fanatical cult that sees achievement of their goals in the death of everyone around them.
Yep.
Okay, that's where we are. That's just reality. And that's been the case since 1979. That's not going to change. Stupidity and insanity don't get better with time on their own. So the fact that all the negotiations and all the posturing seems to sort of be detached from that center is weird. And it's just irrational. So I'm not surprised. So I don't know if he's playing, because you can argue, well, I mean, he's trying to be totally erratic and unpredictable because these people are psycho. And so he's being more psychotic than they are. But see, the problem is that works out there, but that doesn't work in domestic policy. Americans need to be communicated with. You can't talk to Americans like you're talking to Iranians. There's got to be a way for us to get the memo. We're not getting the memo. And the reality is that gas prices are up 30% more than they were last year. Inflation is way up.
Yep.
Now, there's been a lot of wonderful things, truly wonderful things that have happened economically in the last 18 months. The problem is that because of what's happening in Iran, because of the oil issue, that a lot of those things are being obscured. And that's frustrating as hell. The question is, though, does this translate to a GOP loss in the fall? Now, traditionally, yes, regardless of what's happening in Iran, we're the party in power has lost elections in the midterms. That's been the case for decades. In fact, I think that's been the case ever since Eisenhower. Period, end of story. So we've got that working against us. But what is working for us, despite I think the stupidity of the American Senate right now, the Republican Senate, and the sort of weird multiple personality disorder stuff that's going on with Iran and Trump, the math. I mean, we've had some significant. This is significant. We've had major wins on the redistricting front. It's been substantial. We've seen the shift of 16 districts towards Republicans. That's not nothing. And we've seen 6 to Democrats. That's a net of 10. The Cook Political Report has recently, as of this week, looked at the overall landscape. You know, everybody's been talking about losing the House. I'm not entirely convinced we're going to lose the House. I'm not. It's looking like 212 for Republicans, 205 for Democrats, and 18 toss-ups. And right now, the Republicans just need 6 of those 18 toss-ups from a math perspective to win. And so I think it's entirely feasible, just from a math standpoint. Right. What we've seen in Texas,
what we're seeing
in Louisiana, Alabama.
We're seeing the mathematical Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance? No, I'm just
not
that you're dumb. You know, no. Look, George, I hope you're right. I love this analysis. I hope you're right.
I was going to get back. I was going to put a bow on this thing by bringing it back to what you said, which is that you don't rest on your ass over that. That's a blessing. Capitalize on it. Capitalize on that.
Yeah, but you can't talk people out of their lived experiences and their perceptions, and they're out there. And even if the Republicans, even the math works out, but if, to Karen's point earlier, if they stay home, they lose. I mean, you can't have people staying home. So you have disenfranchised Republicans, independents that lean Republican, that don't want to vote this year because they're just irritated or whatever. Then you lose. Look,
Well, I mean, the Cook Political Report's taking into consideration those political affiliations.
So. Okay,
because these districts are either overwhelming Republican, or there's a proportion that's independents and Democrats. Those are baked into these assessments. They are. I mean,
know.
What are your political affectations, and that's buried into the number. All I'm saying is take the usual political affiliation stuff out of it. The numbers. I mean, it's been a massive shift towards Republicans here in the last 6 months. 16 districts that we simply didn't have before. That's not nothing. And I think that I don't know what Trump's doing. There's no way he doesn't follow the polls. Trump's very attentive to polls. So I don't know if there's a deadline.
He ain't that attentive.
Well, I mean, it could be. What's the deadline? Because you and I have always. How far does he go? Like, when is July the latest? Is September the latest?
If he would have never given those deadlines, things might have been different. But he hasn't stopped saying this is soon going to be over.
And maybe
it's going to be over.
Maybe that's the point. I mean, the only thing that works against these thugs in Iran are, we already know. I mean, bombs and just no. I think utter insanity.
Yeah, look, you can't have a pet scorpion. You can own a scorpion or you can smash a scorpion. You cannot have a pet scorpion. These are scorpions. I'm telling you, this mindset is completely. So you either own them or you smash them. There's no negotiating with them. Like, let's work this out. They're good people. They're not good people. They're not good people. And so, I don't understand his infatuation. I really think he's really flubbed this thing up.
Is this a psycho factor that he's trying to project before he whams them? I don't know. It's the only thing that makes. You know what I'm saying?
It's an ego faction.
That makes sense. He's done it before. I mean, to a lesser extent, where he literally says the exact opposite, and then boom, it's blitz.
But he hasn't done that here.
Well, he hasn't done it yet. And so the question is, what's that line? Is it July? Is it August? He's definitely running out of time. And to you and me, I mean, this guy's squandering time. It was like, man, we're running out of time. Maybe he knows that the math does look really good in the House. And I think in the Senate.
I will apologize, and I will say, man, he was doing something. He was playing 4D chess, as everyone says. I guess, man. I guess. Look, he's lost his allure, his influence. You know, and let's see. I mean, look, I'm gonna watch the UFC thing Sunday. I love combat sports.
Be fun.
But I'd rather him worry more about Iran and inflation and gas prices.
But real quick on the Senate, because you sent that piece this week on the Senate, and I think on the Senate it still looks. If you read that piece that you sent me, it still looks entirely feasible. I mean, it's
feasible.
No, a win loost very feasible to me, and I mean it's a lesser of an upward swim for Republicans than it is for Democrats. Because Larry Sabato and Sabato's crystal ball, what he had basically said on there is that there's been a shift towards Democrats, but the hill's still like this for Democrats. So it's 47.
How could there be a shift to Democrats that are less popular than Trump? I mean, none of that. So when you say things like that, or other people say things like that, you don't shift towards people that are unpopular. So they're that unpopular, and there's still a shift to them.
There were a certain number of toss-ups, and there's been a shift in those toss-ups.
Why? But how? But if they're so unpopular, why is anybody shifting to them? If they're that, I mean, you're saying they're just that unpopular, like anal warts, you said, or some shit like that. Well, people want to shift
like that?
towards. Well, no, I don't.
It's better than herpes.
So people are going to shift towards anal warts. I mean, it just. I don't know, man.
Because I'm looking on aggregate. And
Okay.
So you sent a piece that said, hey, there's a shift here. But what's it look like on aggregate? And so on aggregate, even though there was a shift of 3 or 4 from leaning a certain way to leaning the other way, on aggregate, what Sabato concluded is he's at 47 for Democrats in the Senate and 49 for Republicans, and there's 4 toss-ups. Republicans need to win at present one of those toss-ups. Democrats have to win all of them. So you got to batting 1,000 as the path. That's pretty aggressive. So all I'm saying is there are still very solid opportunities. It's not wishful thinking, but I am worried because we don't have infinite time here, and I don't know what that red line is. I mean, you would think it would be now because you need time to get your message. You got to give time for the correction of the oil prices.
I want to be wrong. There's not going to be an Iran deal. It's not. It's going to be breached.
This whole piece with Iran, man.
I mean, I'm saying I'll go on the record, and I hope I am wanting to be wrong. I hope I have political egg on my face because I want it there. I hope so. But there's not going to be an Iran deal. He's being played like a fiddle. Now I hope he's doing the super play. I'm open minded to that. It's not over till
let's specify what you're
over.
saying. There's not going to be a peace deal with the regime. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's not going to be an Iran deal that's going to be perpetual, that's going to last.
And how do we know that? Because every single effing day of a ceasefire for 60 days, there's been fire.
Yeah,
that's how we know that.
That's right.
So it's been like a genius
with no consequence. So you're showing weakness.
no real consequences. I know you could argue that Iran is slowly withering on the vine economically. I got it, but the question is it going to happen fast enough?
No, it's not going to happen fast.
Well, I mean, we got to admit they know we got a hard line here in November, and they're playing it. So
they read the book.
Doug,
they're waiting. They're waiting for the sequel.
They're writing the Iranian portion of a version of the second one,
and they're waiting
with the American translation. Doug said somebody had to pull the trigger on Iran, and we're fortunate that we finally have a president with the guts to get it done.
Absolutely.
That's not the rub.
Yeah,
that's
Mike
not the
says,
not the issue.
I'm just going to trust Trump and his cabinet. There's so much going behind the scenes that we don't know
Fair
about.
enough.
Somebody else said that
what choice do we have?
They saw gas at $3.04 or $2.99 or something. So people are talking about the gas thing, it goes up and down. And the jobs thing, it goes up and down.
No, there's been been amazing things. If this shit wasn't going on right now between what's happening from a manufacturing perspective, tariffs, it would be sky high. This is exactly what the plan was. This whole Iran thing, frankly, came out of nowhere. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. It should be done. I honestly wasn't ready for it. I mean, it's just one big giant turd in the swimming pool, man. So,
but here's the problem is Trump was doing everything to we should be in this golden age.
I think so.
And we're still not there.
By now, otherwise.
So if our friends Mark Antoine and Alamo Talk want to equate golden age to Build Back Better, I'm gonna say check.
I'm
checkmate.
Still in the brown age.
Brown, you referencing his turd?
Yes,
but
I am.
all I'm saying is Build Back Better. We used to rag the shit out of that. You didn't build back anything better. No one's talking about that. No one's talking about a golden age. There's not a golden age right now. Yeah. And come November, if Brother George here, which I hope you're right, and your math is right, or something changes, there's never going to be, not under Trump. His presidency's over in November if he doesn't win.
Oh, I mean, I can't disagree with that. Can't disagree with that.
So it is what it is, guys. What can you do? All we can do is bring up the issues and
the fundamentals that he said he was going to put in place. He has put in place, but he's also he's got a foreign policy that has basically ensured that those things can't come to fruition. And that's just beyond maddening. It's like, dude, seriously, can you please bring this to an end? Look, I'm in the construction business, and there's been massive construction across the country, but we're having a tough time selling. So
tell me about it.
So you have all this money, that's been made available, but then you've got people with the money, and there's tons of people with money right now sitting on the sidelines. There's tons. People are literally writing checks for multi-million-dollar homes right here in the Houston area, in Dallas, It's happening up in Northern Spring Branch. It's happening. I see it. I'm in that world. There's plenty of money sitting on the sidelines, but they're all saying the same thing. They're worried about the uncertainty that is in the market right now because of what's happening as a result of foreign policy. So there's a lot of cash that's been created, but all dressed up and nowhere to go. There's a fear factor, and fear moves markets. And right now we're catatonic, and it's frustrating. Golly. Anyway,
let's wrap it up with Ireland. And since I don't know
big deal.
what the heck's going on, can you just start by telling us?
Yeah, my understanding, there's a man that was brutally attacked by a Sudanese dude that was applying for refugee status, was denied, and then he just freaked out and lost it or whatever the shit because he's not, there's no assimilation anyway. I mean, but regardless, I mean, thank God he didn't get it. He shouldn't have been in that damn country in the first place. And so you're having these riots and these protests, rightfully so, because they're just fed up. The Irish people are fed up with the government screwing up their country. But it's happening all over Europe. We did it for a long time. Biden was doing it, whether people want to agree that or not. I mean, we're seeing all this stuff from the Somali situation because it's just a cultural clash. You just have to, it's not ethnic, it's not racist, it's not anything. It's just cultural. I don't give a shit what color you are or where you're from. It's cultural. When the Italians and the Irish and the Germans and came over, those were still Western cultures. Yep. They were Judeo-Christian cultures, so they assimilated back when my grandfather came in to the country, and my mom's side as well. From Mexico and things, you have similar cultures. So yeah, you have different things that we should celebrate from different ethnicities and cultures, but we assimilated around something. Not so with this mindset from these third world countries that have screwed up their culture. Low trust societies, low trust societies are characterized by limited interpersonal trust and shared, not sharing ethical values. I mean, so you have this conflict and you have this tension between ideology, right, and ethos. Truly. And it's just completely different. I mean, and there's example after example. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, like Mark Antoine always, there's nothing wrong with Islam. Yeah, go send your daughter. Go send your daughter and living in Saudi or Sudanese or one of these places where Islam, we have a theocratic Islamic, or go to Iran. I promise you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want to be there. Nobody wants to be there. I promise you that. And so that's just a very ignorant mindset. It's just ignorant, meaning not knowing. I'm ignorant to a lot of things also, but not to Islam. And so this is what's going on. So that's a nutshell, Karen. But there's a lot more to talk about, George. If I missed something, there's a lot of lessons to learn from this.
Yeah, there is. I mean, most of these foreigners are coming in to the United Kingdom come from Afghanistan and Sudan and Somalia. These are all very low trust, really sort of shit show countries. Where crime is through the roof and there's just utter disregard for human life. And so you are importing a culture. And what's happening, it's just and I think this is the beginning. This isn't going to stop what's happening there. It's been fomented.
The riots, you mean?
Mm-hmm. This really started in December of 2025, several months ago, when you had an 18-year-old that was stabbed by a Sikh man, S-I-K-H. Without getting into the Sikh religion right now, it originally started as a kind of way to harmonize Islam with Hinduism, and so forth, and that didn't work out so well, by the way. And so you've got an Indian who stabs an 18-year-old
because he had permission to carry his cultural knife,
correct,
whatever it is.
He had an 8-inch blade, a Sikh ceremonial blade, they call it. By the way, it is illegal to carry any knives in the United Kingdom, but they're allowed to do that.
Yep.
Okay? For ceremonial purposes.
Yeah.
And so in the aftermath of this death, actually, people just revolted and said, nope, they asked the Labor Party to change this. The Labor Party declined to do that. Think about that for a moment. You've got a UK government that's turned against their own citizens. Yep. That's what's happening. It's truly what's happened. And it's getting worse and worse. This is why people are hitting the streets. I mean, it's stunning to me. So what happened was the guy killed an 18-year-old, Henry Nowak was his name, killed him. And he's bleeding out. They call the cops.
Well, he stabbed him first. They called. Tell the story. Yeah, go there. He ended up
stabbed
dying.
Him.
What was his reasoning to stab him? Because he
thought he heard a racial slur. So they stab this guy. They call the cops. The mom hides the knife somewhere. The cops arrive, and the dude's sitting there, and like multiple times says, "I've been stabbed and I'm dying." And they said, "I don't think you are." I mean, this is literally on video footage.
Yeah, it's video.
They drag him across. You see, I don't know if you saw it. It's just stunning. They drag him across, and while he bleeds out and dies. Yeah. And then the Sikh guy said, oh yeah, it was a racial slur. Nothing's happened to him. This routinely happens. It is worse that you call somebody a name, because there's no First Amendment in the United Kingdom. It is worse that you call somebody a racial epithet than literally this kind of stuff, where you kill people, you stab them, you shoot them, whatever. And so that's worse. That's where we are right now on this intersectionality of crimes.
So play that out in the United States. Proportionality. So if somebody comes up to you and let's say they call me some Mexican, you wetback, you spick, whatever the hell, call me whatever you want. And I can't punch them. That's not, I can say things back. I can challenge them to a mutual combat. You want to fight? Yeah, I want to fight. You want to fight? You sure you want to fight? Okay, let's fight. Mutual combat. Now, then we can do a different analysis on that. But I can't punch them. I definitely can't stab them. Over there, they don't give a shit. And so the reason why this resurfaced is because this Sikh guy was actually tried and he was found guilty, right? I think he was convicted. Rightfully so. Now, what he gets, who knows? But I mean, that's insane. The person is stabbed. You have someone bleeding and they handcuff the boy that's bleeding because this guy said he called me, but then, well, did he stab himself? You don't handcuff because you're not, there's no allegation of an assault, of a physical assault. When people get bothered here is an officer uses deadly force on somebody, and we can argue justified or not. The suspect is shot, and they have to still handcuff that person. And people freak out. That just seems so cold. Yeah, but there's no sense. You don't know how hurt they are, and if they have more weapons, it's policy, it's procedures, tactics. You still handcuff them. That wasn't the case here.
No.
This person wasn't the aggressor.
The standard is racial epithets or allegedly racial slurs are worse than the violence being perpetrated by foreigners. That's A. And if you complain, there are untold numbers of stories of people who are being arrested because they're complaining about this shit. Yeah. So native-born citizens right now, if they bitch about it, if they complain, and rightfully so they should, they are in danger of being arrested because it happens all the time. This is where we are right now.
That's crazy.
And this is weird. It's weird for the UK to be doing. My contention is that they've adopted this from the American left. This racial.
It's a mind virus. It's a mind virus. It's horrible.
It's really
suicidal.
Sick. Absolutely suicidal. And it's happening across the West. I don't see how, at this rate, if we don't take this seriously, I'm looking at what's happening in the UK, and I'm thinking, how in the world does this not happen in the United States?
Karen, I'm going to keep saying it every time it comes up on the show. Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, and we can keep going, used to all be Christian nations. And they're not. Yeah. So for people to think that, look what's going on in Europe. England's done. I mean, without something like this happening. And you watch, this may happen in other places. You had this influx of people who don't share the same values and didn't assimilate, and you have this. And so not all cultures are equal. This is the mind virus that we need to not all cultures are equal. They're just not. And the hypocrites that claim, because they hate the conservative or the Christian or whatever so much, that they'll side with their own enemy and they don't even realize it. Just because your enemy's your friend, knowing that you just signed your own death warrant eventually. Maybe not today, but down the road you did. Because they don't give a shit about you either. You don't want to live in these places. I'm telling you. You want to live in a place where we're free to have thought, free to express, free to criticize. I can criticize back and forth. Let the best idea win. I love the First Amendment. I'm almost a free speech absolutist. And I mean, no matter what. I'm almost there. But I'm just telling you, is this is real, and if we don't learn from Ireland, I hope the Irish people take their country back. I really do. God bless them. I hope they do.
And I hope,
but we better learn.
And I think, but play this out, because this is what we call racial communism. This is that cultural Marxism, the creation of these various racial hierarchies. The government creates this crap. It creates a racial hierarchy, and then they have policies to manage the division across these racial hierarchies. And guess who's always at the bottom? The white guy. The white guy is going to be at the bottom. This is about exterminating the white race. I'm going to say it exactly like that because that's what's happening. And preference and deference is going to be given to racial minorities. And the government is going to be behind the violent fomenting. This is sick. And it's happening. We're seeing it. If you don't think that can happen here, just 5-6 years ago this is BLM logic. This is what's going on. You can't say anything against racial minorities. You can't. And so if a white guy's got a legitimate claim, too bad, he's white. That's where we are going. This racial preference, it's not reverse racism, it's just racism. And so I'm seeing it happen. It's happening more and more, and now it's getting violent. How do you not have a civil war in situations like this? You know, I'm telling you, we have to recognize when politicians are talking in racial terms, they need to be held accountable. We need to hold politicians accountable. Do not let these people in office, people who are talking in racial terms, who are talking in terms of whiteness. James Tallarico talks in terms like that. Yeah. You need to keep that fucker far away from the United States Senate. The guy is a scourge. That mindset is a cancer on this country. I'm telling you, it's a generational problem. And he's not the only one. This is part and parcel for Democrat politics. For all of the Republican stupidities and the shit that they're doing, it's nowhere near this kind of evil. Very dangerous. And so how do you not have this happen in the United States? But it's an inevitable conclusion if it's not stopped.
That Republicans and Democrats should agree on. It really is, man. I mean, we should agree that we don't want this to happen in our country. You don't want this overtake. You just don't. And look, I mean, Democrats spoke loudly in 24 on the border. They just did. They said, look, if you guys can live in theory world up there up north, but we're living in reality. And it ain't utopia down here. Trust me. With this influx and the open border and all this bullshit. And so we really should. I really wish that we'd unify and go back to disagreeing about everything else. Got to unify about this. If we don't have a country, if we don't have a set of values, and we have what I call rules of engagement, where you can't stab people for disagreeing, where they want to censor you. You should criticize. You should be able to criticize anybody. Our own country. Yes, Israel, everybody. I can't stand. There's a big discussion on the right that you can't criticize Israel. Well, I don't support that. You should be able to absolutely criticize Israel. Criticize the United States. Criticize anybody or anything. That's free speech about. I mean, to say you can't criticize is bullshit. And so I'm telling you, we should come together. I wish the Republicans and Democrats would come together on this thing and not just think, I can get one over on my enemy, so my enemy's enemy is my friend. Bullshit. They're not your friend.
You just don't see it. I mean, it's wishful thinking, unfortunately, because the Democrats are steeped in these kinds of racial politics. And you have an American media. I mean, the New York Times, it's not just them, the Washington Post. I saw reports on CBS and NBC News about this, and it's all the same thing. They're blaming. So Irish take to the streets, and what do they blame? The far right. This is the far right, in their view, inciting agitation. It's the far right. They're racist. Of course they're going to do that. Never mind that Irish have legitimate grievances about what's going on here. They're seeing their country literally melt away.
Melt. Yeah.
I mean, their culture's vanishing.
Yep.
These are legitimate grievances. They're worried about their kids and
England,
their kids' kids.
England is the same thing.
Indeed. So these are legitimate grievances. It's not about racism. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to create racism by doing this. That's the problem. This creates more racism.
Yeah.
You create a hatred in people
and animosity
because they don't want their culture erased and they want a future for their kids and their kids' kids. This is sick, man. I'm telling you, we got to really recognize this for what it is. It's not compassionate.
No,
this is freaking criminal.
What else? Any questions, comments, last minute stuff?
No.
Nothing at all?
No. I mean, everybody is just talking about it, but nothing that sticks out of my mind except for I cringe to this day when I hear people say, that can't come here, especially that can't come to Texas. And I'm like, it's here. It's here already. And it's taken over if people don't watch out.
Yeah, but when you think about, don't ever underestimate the mindset of mediocrity or pain. I mean, in the sense that, look at California. I mean, Spencer Pratt should have won.
Oh my God!
Handily.
Yes.
Now, regardless of the whatever and the late ballots, all that, but it should have been, as Trump said, too big to rig. He should have won with such an overwhelming that it just would have been too big to rig, maybe.
Right, but you say regardless, but it was precisely because of that nonsense. I mean, California takes longer than any state in the union to count things, Nico.
That's
Look,
ridiculous.
We had primaries this week. I don't know if you recall. I think we were chatting over text. We had 4 states that had primaries this week, and by the following day, they were either far ahead, or at least as far ahead as California, who had primaries the week before on June 2nd.
That's ridiculous.
And they're still counting. And so this Nithya Raman or whatever, who was in a distant third from Spencer Pratt, I mean, it is a statistical improbability, if not impossibility. So he's a solid second with Karen Bass, which is stunning in itself. But he's a solid second. So he's at least going to have a platform. And he may actually win. Who knows?
On a runoff.
Unlikely, but
he
had a good shot. So what happens? In the ensuing days, the impossible happens. This Rahman chick, who never got any better than 18% of the vote, every single mail-in ballot, you would think it should at least be split between her and Karen Bass. But Karen Bass didn't get anything. It's all her. How does that happen? So she goes from 18% prior to the mail-in ballot, but it's 40% at mail-in ballot going towards her. That just stretches credulity. It's obvious that this thing is rigged. I'm worried about it, but who's doing anything about it?
What can you do? What can you do? What are you going to do? DOJ's not going to investigate it. What are you going to do?
Well, they are. Let's see what comes of it.
Well,
that's what they say.
Let's see. I know.
They say they're investigating it. Let's see what comes.
And I know we talk about it next week, but maybe there'll be more about it. That book that came out. Yeah, you were eerily quiet when I sent that text.
I want to know more about that.
Well, I don't know what book it is.
Well, it's based off an article. I heard them talking about it online yesterday. I'll get more about it. It was really it kind of exonerates Dan Bongino, to be honest with you, on his resistance to how the Epstein file was handled and what he said and his heated arguments and what he said to people and this back and forth and blaming Blondie and all this other shit and how she screwed it up. Susie Wiles and them, and inside baseball stuff that man sounds really credible. Again, it's got to be verified or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not aware of that. I'm looking forward.
Check it out.
I will. But
I'll look it up. We'll talk about it next week, maybe.
Like that.
All right. We'll see. They're good, Karen?
Are we good, Karen?
We're good.
All right.
What about the Spurs? Are they good? That's tonight. Yeah, that's all anybody's.
Watch the UFC tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Enjoy the weekend. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate you both, whoever it is, whether it's people that agree or don't agree with us. But please share this with people you think may benefit from these conversations. Make comments. We'll do our best to try to get to them and answer them. And have a wonderful, blessed weekend and week. Bye-bye.